What's up guys, in today's video I'm going to give you guys my complete beginner's guide to BRC20s and Ordinals. We're going to cover over what Ordinals are in BRC20s. We are going to show you guys how to set up a wallet. We're going to show you guys how and where to buy and sell these Ordinals. We're going to show you guys how you can mint and inscribe your own Ordinals or BRC20s. I'm also going to share with you guys the tools that I use to spot 100x to 1000x gems and even 10,000x gems. And yes, there is such thing as 10,000x gems on BRC20s. And I'm also going to cover over some of the potential airdrops and some of them that have already been confirmed on Bitcoin. If you guys are new to Drake on Digital, I talk all things DeFi, crypto, NFTs, you name it. If that's your cup of tea, y'all know what to do. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification. That way you guys are notified every time we make a new one. Let's go and get into it. All right, so first things first, what are BRC20s? BRC20s are basically ERC20s, but on Bitcoin. So just like you have those random coins on Ethereum, you know, like your SHIB or your Aave token, your Sushi token, all those random tokens, that's the same exact thing on Bitcoin. So when you hear BRC20, think ERC20, but on Bitcoin. So it's just a different token. And here's a full list in chronological order of all the different BRC20 tokens, but anyone can deploy these. So if you simply wanted to create your own BRC20, you can do that. It just has to be 4 characters and that's it. And you can just deploy it. But Ordi is the very first one. Then you have meme, punk, etc. Now Ordinals are just another way of saying NFTs on Bitcoin. So the difference between Ordinals and NFTs is that the actual Ordinal or the NFT that is on Bitcoin is actually inscribed on the chain. It's not to just some random IPFS link. So if you buy one of these Ordinals, you actually own this particular JPEG or asset, and it's hosted directly on Bitcoin. Whereas if you buy an NFT on OpenSea, you aren't actually buying the actual NFT. It's just a random link on IPFS, and it's not something you actually own. So if that server that was hosting that particular link goes down, well, technically your NFT is gone. That's the main difference between Ordinals and NFTs. So now you're probably asking, how in the world do I get started up with these? Well, you simply just go to Unisat. Unisat is one of my favorite wallets to use. And you can also use a couple of others like Ordinals wallet and whatnot. But the simplest way to do that is to simply go to unisat.io and go to their marketplace. And it will allow you to get started. So it says, here's the Unisat wallet. You can go to the Chrome store or download from GitHub. Just download from the Chrome store and it'll take you to the link. You'll set up your keys and yada, yada, yada. You'll get your Unisat and it's pretty self-explanatory. Make sure you write down these private keys and save these. And one other thing that will really help you when setting up this wallet is automatically switch to Taproot. By default, it goes to SegWit. But let me show you how to do that right now. Okay, so here's an example of one of my wallets. This was one that I set up in the very early days, and I didn't really understand the difference between a Taproot and native at the time. So this is my regular native wallet. I no longer really even use this wallet much anymore, but I have a bunch of inscriptions in here. So there's a bunch of things that I minted on here, and there's also some things that I bought. But this is in my native wallet. Now, there's nothing wrong with using the native SegWit, but just by default, the whole entire Ordinals ecosystem mainly functions on Taproot. So just to kind of like, I don't know, save yourself a bunch of headaches, that way you can import into other wallets and whatnot, automatically click Taproot. So once I click Taproot in my wallet, this is after I already set it up. I'm on Taproot. I'm basically able to receive and send different tokens out of this wallet address. This wallet address is the one where I send Bitcoin to. Once you've used this and you connect to other sites, which I'll show you later in this video, you will have all kinds of different inscriptions showing up right here inside your wallet. And you can toggle it specifically based on BRC20s. But again, I want to show you guys how to switch to Taproot. This little gear icon, click this. And then you go to address type, select Taproot. It will save yourself a bunch of headaches, especially when trying to import into different wallets. Because some of these websites are not all able to function with Unisat. Some have their own wallets. Some only use Xverse. Some only use Hyro. It's still kind of the early days of the Bitcoin ecosystem. It's not like a MetaMask type of thing. But going back to this, I want to show you guys what this looks like inside your wallet. You can filter based on different tokens or specifically BRC20s. So if I select BRC20s, it'll show just a bunch of random tokens I have in my wallet. I told you I was going nuts and ham, minting and getting these things. But you can also filter based on inscriptions by selecting all, and this will mix both of them. And if you simply want to see your collection on the main screen, all you got to do is connect to one of these websites like Magic Eden, for example, and you can simply go to your asset tab and it'll show you everything there. Okay, so we know how to set up a wallet. We know what BRC20s and Ordinals are. Now, how do we buy and sell these things? Well, there are actually a couple of marketplaces for this. Specifically, if you're looking to sell Ordinals, one of the best marketplaces that I've seen so far is going to be Magic Eden. Yes, there are a couple of others, but remember, Ordinals, those are like your NFTs, but on Bitcoin. Magic Eden is kind of like your OpenSea of the Bitcoin ecosystem, but you can simply go here and you can buy and sell Ordinals. You can also go to Ordinals Wallet, but Ordinals Wallet over time has kind of lost its dominance with Magic Eden kind of taking over. Ordinals Wallet is still a great spot to go. You can also find some arbitrages in prices, but like here's an example. Bitcoin frogs on Ordinals Wallet are selling for 0.4 Bitcoin a pop. But if you go on Magic Eden, because this is mainly where most of the liquidity is for Ordinals, you can see here it's only 0.36 Bitcoin. So it's basically a 0.04 Bitcoin difference, a 10% difference, which is huge. And I'll share with you guys a couple of other marketplaces later in this video, but I want to go ahead and show you guys how to buy and sell these different things. So simply if you go into your items, here are some bitmaps that I have. I'm going to go ahead and select one of these bitmaps and list it for sale. As you can see here, I'm just going to select this bitmap right here, and I'm going to say, all right, well, this is not listed for sale. Let me go ahead and list this now. So I can, well, actually, I should definitely put in a price before I list it for 0. But let's just say I want to sell this thing for 1 Bitcoin. So all I would do is I would hit list now, and I'm basically listing this 1 bitmap for 1 Bitcoin. And all I have to do is sign a transaction. It does say plus 0.995 Bitcoin because there's like fees involved using Magic Eden, but that's basically how you list it. It's very simple. You don't even have to pay a gas fee when you're selling it. All you got to do is list the item. Now, buying some of these Ordinals or BRC20s is also pretty easy. You simply go to Bitmap or sub 100K, whatever collection that you want to buy, and you go to the page. Once you get on this page, you can either select to sweep a bunch of these, or you can just do one at a time. To sweep these on Magic Eden in particular, there's a plus sign. When you hover over this, it'll show up. Hit plus, hit plus, hit plus, and it'll allow you to sweep these different bitmaps in one transaction. Now, you want to make sure you have enough funds in your wallet in order to make this sweep, but this is basically one of those ways where you can accumulate a bunch of these in one quick transaction. Now, the difference between Bitcoin and on Ethereum is that you don't have to wait for your transaction to go through before you send another. Now, the amount of transactions you can do before you can do another one is going to vary based on your UTXOs. You can receive more UTXOs for your wallet the more outputs you have. Gradually over time, as you have more outputs from your wallet, if you're buying things or sending things, you're going to have more UTXOs in your wallet. Basically, what this allows you to do is have more consecutive transactions at a given time before they're confirmed on the blockchain. If you're new to Bitcoin, your transaction times are about 10 minutes per block, so it's not like Ethereum. And especially if you get stuck in the mempool, you kind of got to wait. until you can get more UTXOs or get that Bitcoin back. But when you're first using the marketplace on Magic Eden or any of these marketplaces, it will automatically prompt you and say, all right, you got no UTXOs in your wallet. So we're going to go ahead and generate one for your wallet. So when you're first getting onto there, you kind of do a little sign up thing and it generates a UTXO for you. Yes, it does cost a gas fee. It is a transaction fee, but you get that UTXO and now you can go ham onto the marketplace. So slowly it'll just be buying one at a time, then it'll allow you to do two and so on. That's also why it has the sweep function, so you can do multiple in one and not have to wait on the 10-minute block times. Which this is one other thing I really want to cover because this is super important, especially with the volatility of Bitcoin gas fees. And for me, at least, a couple of things. I've been front run on inscriptions, so I technically just wasted money and lost gas and got nothing for it. And the second is I've been locked in the mempool for weeks at a time. And this simple trick will save you a big headache so you don't get lost in the mempool. Using mempool.space is a lifesaver. This will basically tell you the average transaction time of what's going on in that particular mempool. Sure, when you're using a marketplace like Magic Eden and you buy one of these, you can do a lower gas fee and it will take it off the market, but your transaction may not technically confirm for who knows how long if the Bitcoin gas fees spike. So to determine that gas rate, you do want to take a look at mempool and see what the average rates are. This top number right here, 148, this is your average sats per VByte. The 130 is your low end. The 130 is basically like the bare minimum. So if you did 129 sats per VByte, you got roasted. You're not in that mempool. Actually, it might even be a little bit less. You can click on the particular block to see what it was. But you can see here the fee span was 130 to 1502. So yeah, 130 was okay, so you would have made it. And to see what the average fee span was for some of the different transactions, you can scroll through and see here fee rate 130, 130, 130, 131. So as long as you got around 130, you got into this block. Now, if you did 1500, you're definitely in this block. Or if you did 150, you're definitely in this block. And you're probably wondering why in the world someone would pay 1500 sats per VByte when the going rate is 130. Well, they probably wanted to be first in that block, and maybe they were just trying to get a particular inscription or mint some type of token and be ahead of everyone else so they didn't get front run or they were front running someone else. So if I was looking at this mempool and I see the last block was 10 minutes ago and the next one is the average block time is every 10 minutes. So I would be safe just looking at this block to throw it in at like 210, maybe 215 sats per VByte. The reason I would add about 15 to 20 sats per VByte on top of this is just because I don't want to get stuck in the mempool. And then going back on the previous gas fees, I can see here is like 241, 354, 328. I just want to err on the side of caution. So remember, I'm going to say 210 to 215. We'll see what this block confirms. We'll come back to it and take a look at it. But that's kind of how you can calculate that. And it'll also give you the fee span like 199 to 4,914. I don't recommend 4,914 at all. That's basically a couple of $1,000 for a gas fee. But hey, by all means, it's a free market. If you want to do that, go for it. So on this one, we're going to call like 210 to 215, and we'll come back to it and see what it confirms at. Now, before we go into the different airdrops and the Bitcoin ecosystem, as well as how I spot different 100x or 1000x gems, I want to go ahead and cover over the different marketplaces you guys can use for the BRC20s as well as Ordinals, so that you guys can make your own informed decisions and get the best prices on these things. One of my favorite tools to use is Best in Slot. Best in Slot is kind of like your 1 inch of the Bitcoin ecosystem. So instead of just saying, yeah, these are the prices on this particular marketplace, it actually gives the prices across all of them. So if I was looking for a particular collection, let's say Bitcoin frogs, it will direct me to the marketplace offering the best price. So you can see here it aggregates Magic Eden, it aggregates OKX, it aggregates Ordinals wallet if you scroll down far enough. But yeah, here it is. But you can see Ordinals wallet is not competitive compared to Magic Eden and OKX. So if I simply click on this link, it will allow me to go to Magic Eden, and it gives the price breakdown as well as the marketplace fee. Now there is one thing I do like about OKX is they don't charge anything on their marketplace, like it's zero fee. So if you are looking to sell, you can consider OKX. But there's one thing also to keep in mind. Just because they have a 0% fee doesn't mean you would be earning more. Because if all eyes are on Magic Eden, you may technically be able to sell for a higher price regardless of that 2% fee. What I mean by this is like sometimes marketing is worth more than the fees that you save. Because if you're able to sell something for $1,000 instead of $900 and pay a 2% fee, selling it for $1,000 with a 2% fee is going to be much better than $900 with 0%. It's just simple math. Because you would net $980 with this sale and net $900 with this. It's $80 difference. So Best in Slot is going to be your aggregator. Now to explore these different marketplaces, one of them is OKX, their Web3 wallet. You can see here, this is the list of all the different BRC20s, and you can simply go to their collections as well. And it's kind of self-explanatory if you wanted to buy or sell these different items. If you wanted to buy a bitmap, you simply click on the particular asset and you just click on it and it allows you to buy it. So once you click on it, it'll open up a link or a section. And as long as your wallet is connected, you will have this little cart right here and you can add this to your cart and you simply buy it. That's it. You pay the gas fee and make sure you consult the mempool in order to decide what your transaction to be. As you can see, guys, look, the transaction confirmed. It was 200 sats per VByte. So we overpaid by a little bit. We paid 210 to 215, but we got our transaction confirmed. We're happy. We're not lost in the mempool. And actually, you could have actually gone cheaper because you could see here this next transaction confirmed. But basically, that's how you can analyze the transactions. Going back to OKX, that's simply how you buy that. Now, Magic Eden, also self-explanatory. Magic Eden is not really for the BRC20s. This one is more so for your ordinal collections. So you're going to go here for your ordinals and decide whether you want to buy or sell one of the ordinals here. And if you guys want to specifically buy some BRC20s, in my opinion, one of the best marketplaces for this is going to be Unisat. It has the best liquidity for them, and they also have this swapper. You do have to have 200 points in order to access this, but I'll go ahead and show you guys what this looks like so you guys can see what's up. In order to get these points, all you got to do is inscribe different things. So that's kind of how you get some points. As you're using this marketplace and inscribing on here, you're going to earn points. I'll show you how to inscribe too. But all you got to do is select the tokens that you want to swap out and you can buy some stuff. So let's take for example, I wanted to swap some track for some sats. I would just say 10 track for some sats, and you can see here, it'll allow me to swap into sats, and that's it. And obviously you'll pay a transaction fee in order to confirm that on Bitcoin. And then the last marketplace is Ordinals wallet. This is kind of like a mix. This one has your Ordinals as well as your BRC20s. But I think the niche that Ordinals wallet is starting to get into has to do with their tap tokens. If you guys listen to some of my previous videos, you guys probably learned about the track ecosystem and tap tokens. These are basically like your BRC20s, but more functionalities. So instead of simply just being able to buy and sell these, you're able to stake them, use them in DeFi, that type of thing. So it's kind of like a DeFi moment for Bitcoin. But without going into heavy details on it, This is Ordinals wallet. It has a mix of the collections as well as the BRC20s and tap tokens. Now the next thing to cover is inscribing. If you guys want to inscribe these things, which is basically a way to get in early and on the quote unquote ground floor of a BRC20 and basically make the multiple X's, you just had to figure out which ticker that you want to mint. So let's say, for example, we were minting Ordi. Ordi has already minted out, so we shouldn't even be minting this. But we would select, hey, we're going to mint the ticker Ordi, and we had to figure out the amount. In order to get these amounts, all you have to do is go to that particular BRC20 and figure out what that mint amount is. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to show you Ordi, for example. Ordi has a limit per mint of 1,000. You must have 1,000 in this or you're not going to have the proper inscription. You cannot mint Ordi, guys. Like, this is just an example. So you can see here it's 100% minted out. So basically trying to mint Ordi, it's not even going to be a valid inscription. It'll just be trash. I'm just using this as an example. So if we go over here and do Ordi, and I say I want to go ahead and get 1,000 of these tokens, and I'm going to repeat this mint however many times that I want. The reason I have to select 1,000 is, remember, that is the minimum that we got from that particular BRC20 token. So if I wanted to give another example of one, let's do ball, because why not? Or actually, yeah, ball. It's not even minted out, so we can mint this right now. You can see here this deploy time was on March 11th, which is one of those things you do want to look for. The earlier the deploy time, technically it's better. Well, not better, it's just kind of first mover. But we go ahead and select ball, and you can see here the limit per mint is 1,000, and there's a total supply of 21 million. So we'll go ahead and do ball, B-A-L-L, and it's 1,000. We're going to do mint, and then we're going to repeat the mint 76 times. You can do 10 times, whatever you want to do. But notice this right here. The first 25 inscriptions, that's where the service fee is. Anything more is you aren't charged. So keep that in mind if you're trying to save some money. Keep that in mind if you're trying to save some money, you can do a couple of them. Now, don't be cheap on this if you are inscribing. There is a chance if you do like 1 sats per VByte. So let me show you the repeat mint right here. If I was to go ahead and inscribe these, if I was doing like 171 sats per VByte, maybe I'll be okay, maybe I won't. I would rather err on the side of caution and pay a little more than less. I got roasted on sats. I was going to be receiving a bunch of tokens. It was like 100 or 200 different inscriptions that I got stuck in the mempool, and I ended up getting front ran. So what happened? Well, 3 weeks pass. My inscription confirms on the blockchain. I get my tokens. They're invalid, so they're worth nothing. So basically, I just wasted a gas fee on Bitcoin, which was a couple of $100, and I didn't get any tokens for it. So moral of the story is don't be cheap when it comes to inscribing. So now based on this, after I select my sats per VByte, I can go ahead and verify all this is what I want to pay, and I can go ahead and submit and pay invoice. This will give your service-based fee, the fee by size. It'll give you the full breakdown of everything. But in order for me to mint this, I think I was only minting it 19 times. Man, so much more now than it used to be. But $281 in order to inscribe this. I remember when inscribing something 19 times would cost you like $15, maybe $20. But yeah, I'm obviously not going to confirm this transaction, but that's simply how you would inscribe a BRC20 on the blockchain. There are some other tools that will allow you to save some fees on this. One of them I really like is Genie Data, and especially if you have one of the passes, it'll save you like 20% on the transactions. But if you're trying to get some points, you can use Unisat. It'll allow you to get some points. And yes, there is potentially a airdrop for Unisat users. As always, time will tell. We'll see what happens. The reason I speculate that Unisat will do an airdrop is that Ordinals wallet actually airdropped these Pixel Pepes. At one point in time, these were worth 0.4 Bitcoin or like 0.3. So basically almost $20,000. And this was simply just airdropped to you. All you had to do is make one transaction on Ordinals wallet, which is what? Like $5, $10, for gas fee and buying whatever you bought. Literally, airdrop. $20,000. That's why it pays to test these things and use them. Okay, so far we covered what are ordinals, what are BRC20s. We showed you guys how to set up a wallet, how to buy and sell ordinals and BRC20s. The best marketplaces to use. We showed you guys Ordinals wallet. We showed you guys OKX, Best on Slot, Unisat, Magic Eden. We also showed you guys how to mint some of these BRC20s, and you can also mint ordinals with the same exact process. We showed you guys how to analyze the gas fees and the mempool so you can determine what you should price your transaction for. And lastly, I want to go ahead and cover over some of the potential airdrops as well as how to spot the next 100x gems on Bitcoin. I use many tools to spot different 100x gems, but in particular, two of my very favorite tools are going to be Genie Data as well as private groups. So as for the private groups, those are going to be something that you can join having particular ordinals that you purchase on Magic Eden or any private groups that you're a part of, or just different private groups that you join out of the Bitcoin ecosystem. As for some of the really good private groups, you do have to earn your way into some of those. You can do that by writing threads, creating constructive tweets on Twitter, and you will get invited to some of those. But Ordinals Support Desk is one of those really good Twitter spaces where you can get a pretty good introduction onto what's going on. These guys usually have their finger on the pulse. You can also join the Track Discord. There's a lot of really smart people in there who already have a nice community, obviously developed around Track itself. You can get into some of the NFT Discords like Ordinals Wallet. You can get into BTC Machines. You can get into the Genie Data Discord. You can also get into the Ninja Alerts Discord from Trevor. You can see, actually, he's hosting a space right now. But Trevor is this guy. It's just TO on Twitter. But there's just different groups you guys can join. You just have to find your vibe and look for different communities that do have their finger on the pulse. And if you're curating content on Twitter, as well as dropping different threads, you'll start to see who's actively engaged into these different groups and decide whom to join. And sometimes you will get invited to some of them. The really exclusive and the really good ones are going to be the ones that not everyone can join publicly. Those are going to be those ones that are, you have to earn your way in, and there's like a group of like 20 or 30 different people that have their finger on the pulse. The worst things you can do is go doom scrolling on Twitter and looking at your favorite alpha caller on Twitter about all these different ERC20s or meme coins, and then they're starting to get into Bitcoin. That's probably the worst place to go. Look for someone who specializes in the Bitcoin and ordinal ecosystem, and stay away from those influencers that are just coming for a day, 2 days, and this is their first time here. Stick with the guys who've been around for a long time, that aren't grifters, that have been here for months, especially throughout the bear or the ordinal bear market when everyone was like, ordinals are dead. There are actually two really good YouTube channels out there, as well as Twitter groups, and that is Ordinal Revolution and The Block Runner. Those are really good spaces or places to go to for a general overview of what's going on and kind of allowing you to get your feet wet. Be careful of the grifters out there. There are a lot of them out there that are like, hey, look at this coin. It does this, this, and this. There's a ton of vaporware on Bitcoin. Just be careful with those guys and run as far away as you can from them. I also share a lot of that information in my Discord group, so if you guys want to join that, you guys can do that in the description below. Now to go into Genie Data, Genie Data is basically a ordinals tool that you can use that shows you the different gas consumptions or the fees that are being used on particular tokens or ordinals. Now, I do have a pass for Genie Data, so I get access to a little more information, but this is kind of like a little tool that you can use to see what's going on in the mempool. So right now we see TTIN. This is consuming a lot of gas right now on Bitcoin. For some reason, people really want this token. Now, if I click on the token, it'll give me some details on it and show what's up. it's basically saying like, hey, look, this is being minted right now. The green is showing that these are unconfirmed transactions. So people are probably going to try to front run these if they can go ahead and mint this. But just looking at this, it doesn't have a bad holder base. 2,700 is in particular is pretty good. But the deploy date is, it's okay. It's back in November. I would prefer to have an older, but maybe there's a community behind this. There's actually something to look for in the BRC20s. And first, that has to do with the date it was deployed. Second has to do with the holder base. Third has to do with the minting difficulty. And fourth has to do with the community. To determine the minting difficulty is very simple. You take the amount of the total supply and the limit per mint. This will tell you how many times it will take to mint this out. So for this particular token, someone would have to inscribe this 10,000 different times, which based on the gas fees that are going on the mempool, that's going to be extremely pricey. So we know this kind of sets a minimum floor price. The reason why I want to factor this in when it inscribes and how much is being paid is because if someone has to invest a particular amount of money into it, it kind of sets this artificial floor of like, why are people going to sell at a loss? Sure, someone may do it, but if they paid $10 to inscribe a certain amount of tokens, they aren't going to sell them for $5 unless they're just kind of like rage quitting. It's not likely. So that is one of those things you want to factor in on the minting amounts and the difficulties. The second thing is the holder base. You don't want one dude holding all these tokens. If he does, that just means he's ready to dump. If you got a holder base of a massive amount, like let's take, for example, Sats. Sats has the most diverse holder base. It actually has like 26,000 different holders. That's basically like, hey, look, this is massively decentralized. You can see here that Sats has 47,000 different holders. And if you click on the token itself to see its holder base, there's only one spot that has 27% of the supply. I'm pretty sure it's Sats itself and their little BRC20 swap because all these different tokens are paired with Sats. But if you simply go into the liquidity pool, you can see here the total TVL of all these things. It totals to, I would call it about $2 million. So basically $1 million of this is with the Sats token. And this is kind of like the beginning for the swapper because you do have to have a lot of points in order to get into this. Like at today's gas rates, to get 200 of those points is going to cost you a couple $1,000s. But you want to look for a strong holder base as well as a earlier inscription date. The reason why I like the earlier inscription dates is because those are one of those things like, hey, look, these were first to hit the scene. They aren't like, hey, look, let's just make this token and be like, oh, this is cool. Like STX or STXS, for example. This was a token minting on Stacks blockchain yesterday. Yeah, it's basically a BRC20 over there. So this one has been around since May 9th. But the reason why it just fully minted out and it has 622 holders is because people are speculating like STXS is the first token on Stacks, the very first BRC20 like Ordi on Bitcoin. So like, oh, look, let's mint it out. Maybe it'll be a good trade. You can see here like the Sats price just got roasted. It's down like 40%. So sometimes the mints are good, sometimes they're bad. In my opinion, when the gas fees are this high, the risk to reward is extremely unfavorable if you're trying to mint in this type of scenario. Me personally, I just wait till it gets lower. I haven't been doing anything inscribing wise just based on these prices. I would rather see them at a lot lower rates. It doesn't create that unfavorable risk to reward. The reason why it's unfavorable is if you're having to pay this much amount, there's a chance that it goes to zero or it ends up making multiples. So to explain why it has a more unfavorable risk to reward, because normally if you were paying like $5 to inscribe some tokens that will either go to zero or make multiples, you're now having to pay $40 your risk to reward is entirely different. You're now having to pony up 8 times what you originally were and still have the same outcome. It's basically an 800% difference. The last thing I want to cover has to do with the community. I'll give an example of a really strong community coin. This is Rats. Rats is basically a meme coin on Bitcoin, but they have a bunch of holders, one, and two, they have a really strong community. In particular, Rats is targeting the Chinese community, or at least the Chinese just love this coin. And you can see here the price action is all over the place, but these guys love Rats. Like, they just like to buy this thing. They just like to hold it. It's basically the meme. There's a bunch of memes on Twitter about it. There's a whole community behind it. They even run different Twitter spaces and they raid other ones. They're like, rats, buy Rats. It's almost like the Bitcoin frogs ordinals. Like, if you listen to some random ordinal spaces, if you hear the term ribbit, that is basically their bark or their alpha call, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Bitcoin frogs has a really strong community. Those are just different things you want to look for. And if you aren't really great at picking out communities, that's okay. Kind of pick out the community and the vibes that you do like. Just go into some of their spaces, read some of their tweets, go into the Discord, and get a vibe for it. If it works for you, if it fits for you, if you like that vibe, that is probably a community you want to be a part of. And if you want to be a part of something like that, it's likely that others will too. So that's how these communities develop. For me, in particular, I like the Ordinals community. I like the Bitmap community. I like the Bitcoin Frogs community. I like the BTC Machines community. Those are different communities that vibe with me that I like. Now, for some, they might be the Fuzzy Foxes, the Mega Punks, Fomojis, Ordinal Rugs. There's all kinds of different ones that you may vibe with. So it's a little bit of a long-winded answer, but Genie Data is a really helpful tool to see what's going on Bitcoin to give you a higher level overview. And the second is joining different private groups and alpha groups. Those are really important to understand what's going on out there. Sure, there are some bad plays, but a lot of times if you get in a really, really good group, they have their finger on the pulse and you can get some really good plays. Lastly, I want to go ahead and cover the airdrops and then we'll go ahead and close this out. I know it was a long video. An example of one of those airdrops was BMP. This is basically just airdrop to your wallet for free. Well, actually, you had to go claim it. And all you had to do was hold a bitmap. You can see here you basically got 10,000 tokens for every sub 10K bitmap, 2,000 for every 100K. And the claim is actually still going on till the 31st. If you look at the price of a BMP token, and let's say, depending on the bitmap that you had, let's just call it, you got, I don't know, a total of 1,000 tokens just for one of your bitmaps. Basically got like $13 for free. But if you had a bunch of other bitmaps, like the sub 1K bitmap, besides just the price appreciation, you were able to mint these bitmaps for like $1 at the time, or $2. If you check out the previous video I made like 4 months ago, I gave you a guide on how to do that. You simply could have got a bunch of these BMP tokens, and it was just a free airdrop just for nothing. Another airdrop for bitmap holders, yes, you did have to claim, was the .com token. Ordinals wallet was basically giving out 50 free tokens just if you had a bitmap. So basically you would have just got like $250 for free. Just factoring in the cost of a bitmap, one bitmap is only going to cost you about $200 at the time of recording. And if you were buying them back in the day or minting them, it only costs you $1. So it could potentially just be infinite returns depending on what it does in the future. Me personally, I'm extremely bullish on bitmap, but that's just an example of some of the airdrops. There's also the Pixel Pepe that Ordinals wallet gave just for using it. Unisat, they may do an airdrop of their token. Magic Eden also may do an airdrop of a token. Or OKX may even airdrop some form of token for using their marketplace. Or even something like Best in Slot and using their aggregator. There are so many different things on Bitcoin that may potentially airdrop. And there is one token that's already confirmed an airdrop. This is the Track token, We talked about this a couple of times on the channel, but simply all you have to do is hold the track token and you're going to get an airdrop. Like you literally just get airdrop the TAP token, which is the governance token over the TAP protocol. So just in general, in my opinion, Bitcoin is ripe for different airdrops. The ecosystem is vibrant. It's new. There's a lot of new things coming to the Bitcoin space. Not financial advice, but at least put it on your radar. And I hope this guide and this tutorial helped. I know it was an extremely long video, but that is going to be your beginner's guide in order to basically, well, I don't know, save you a couple of weeks of time, all put into one video, so you don't have to go through that learning curve. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you like videos like this, or you want to see more content like this, be like, yo, Drake, I like this video, do this. Or be like, yo, Drake, this video stunk. Make me something different. I want to see this. I'll go ahead and make different kinds of videos. If you guys are looking to get that edge in crypto, you guys can join the private Discord group in the description below. Slots are limited, so please only join if this is something you're actually serious about. But if this is something that you just really don't care about and aren't really serious, don't join the Discord group. You can find all kinds of free content on YouTube or on Twitter, and that's kind of your best place to go. Let's go ahead and hit you guys with that wisdom one-liner. Proverbs chapter 15, verses 3. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. He's always watching, guys. Peace.